This is Pops. Let's talk about Reacher. Is this the best show out right now? This is the best show that I'm watching, and I can't tell you. I'm looking forward to every Thursday from when to drop. And I had to do this video to kind of get caught up, and I hope I can touch on, I think, why this show is working so well for me and what I'm enjoying about it is so many different elements that other shows don't get right. So first off, let me talk about Ritchson. I cannot say this man's name. He represents like a perfect portrayal of what's in the book. Like the first thing is the book. This is a very faithful adaptation. This 6'5" monster of a human who's also super super smart, and I love what they do with that. Because on the surface it seems like this crazy, wild, toxic male, but then you have this other side of his personality that's weird and quirky and odd. He's a nomad, doesn't want to have material things like that. So he's this very well-rounded, defined character that is just off a little bit. Like this is part of what makes him well. Remember, I talked about the Sherlock show in a video I had done one time, and I talked about how it would be easy to do Sherlock straight. What they do is you do it, and then you just add something, just a little bit of a twist to it. So whenever I think when they created Jack Reacher, they took it, okay, well let's just tweak it just a little bit, right? And it's so well done. It is so refreshing to have something that doesn't fit every cookie cutter caricature, checkboxing, stereotypes, everything like that. This is so well done. There's strong women, sure there are, but this show is so far from being woke. There's a quick scene early in this episode where the one is talking about how you feeling, bruised, I'm hurting, right? Let me get to right here, yeah, right here, about running in heels, sore, right? Talking about not wearing heels, not running, not doing stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is the authenticity that we're missing now. Is it a little ridiculous that these ladies can hold their own? Okay, maybe, but it was never at the expense of the other men. It was not. This show was very well done, and we're very well balanced, in my opinion. I think that there's also great mystery and intrigue that plays out well. Episode 4 had this as well, where they basically are just sitting around. Here, let me get to this right here. There's this massive segment where they're just sitting and talking through the case. And if you read a novel, these pages are very fact-driven. There's a lot of prose and details, conversation, go back and forth. So this is the type of scene that Hollywood does a lot of while they're over food. That they're addicted about doing things like this over food, and it's boring as all get out. Whereas this one, they're actually moving the story along. They're giving us details. They're thinking out loud for us, which, by the way, brings me to another point. And when we need to have different moments and things like that work, what do? We have a scene like this. All right. So we need to understand, why is he so convinced that Swan is innocent? Why is he so convinced that his guy is, he's in that guy's corner, right? Why? Because we have him go on a walk, and then we flesh out a backstory. Okay, there we go. We can do a flashback that makes sense. It moves the story along because it gives us more information. It's as like foreign to most shows, where you'll watch a show and it'll start with a flashback or just have some random flashback, and you're left going, I still don't know how I'm supposed to connect the dots. Like, this didn't even plug. This was so on the nose and spelled out for you in Reacher. They literally have him say, I'm going to go for a walk. I think this is this scene right here, right? He says, I'm literally going to go for a walk. And they cut to the flashback. And then when they're done with the sequence, he's literally walking. Like, all of this memory played out in his head for us to fill in the gap. Why is this so hard to find in TV, in shows, and movies these days? It's not that complicated. Okay. Now, there is also nice villainy stuff. Like, we do have Langston, who really, to be honest, I'm disappointed in that they've kind of relegated him to sort of like, there's like 3 or 4 baddies now. Like, it's sort of like just, it's almost like nothing of interest. I did kind of like the smarmy politician who's kind of brought in with like the cokehead guy they used to get to him, which is right in the background here. Let me get to him. Yeah, the smarmy cokehead guy they used to get to him. So they have villains, but they don't have sort of like a mustache twirling villain. It's just like this feels more realistic than most like Born Identity type things, which are more like government conspiracy, which I've always wondered, like the reason that sometimes those don't work as well for me is because if there's this many people, then someone would leak it out to the public, everyone would know, like that's not quite. Whereas this, it feels like everyone is trying to keep their own secret. They're not necessarily in tune with what the other bad guys are doing. We literally have 4 or 5 people who are all antagonists to Reacher and his investigation, but they're not necessarily all privy of what the other ones are doing. I like that a lot. Very well done. Okay. And then it's sort of like great moments to leave you wanting more. So we do go through the funeral sequence, and then they have the shooting and the chase sequence, and then action, right? And then this is the guy. So you literally are kind of like, okay, here's what we're gonna do, and it's like it's set up as sequences, and you're kind of moving. You move from sort of like this solemn funeral scene where they're talking a little bit under their breath, and then it kind of moves very fast towards the end. And you sort of have, they've told the audience what they're going to do and how it's going to play out. And then it does not play out that way. That's it. It doesn't play out that way. There's a twist. There's something that doesn't go their way. Imagine that. And it makes you go, ah, crap. Now what are they going to do? You want to watch the next episode. Oh, it's so, and it was believable. It wasn't like Reacher was in the building, maybe. No, that's stupid. No, we know Richard's not in the building. Like stuff like that. Like it's like that's what they would do. That's what they do on other shows. So anyway, that's my take on it. That's why I'm liking the show so much. Maybe you have other recommendations. I'm more than happy to take them. What are your thoughts on Reacher? Are you enjoying it as much as I am? I appreciate you guys for watching. Take care, everybody. I am Pops.
Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing